So most people think about farming as just producing food. You see it as one of the ways that's going to shape the future of society. Why is that?
We're intrinsically connected to our environment. We are what we eat, and the quality of the food we eat determines our mood, determines who we are. A number of people are suggesting that food in this day and age can affect many, many things. We've got all sorts of problems with autoimmune diseases, autism, and fertility, to mention but a few. But they're the big ones that are connected directly with food. And I think we need to get back to farming properly and getting back to a connection with slow-grown food. Mm-hmm. I think it's been commented on by a lot of people in the medical profession, and then you come back, even high-ranking chefs like Ballymaloe are pushing slow food and have been for decades. So I think we've just got to stop. And it's a busy, busy time. We're all rushing, chasing our tails. It's very hard to get away from food that's at your fingertips on the go. But I think it will pay us as a society. I think we'd be better off if we went back to slow-grown food, essentially.
Yeah. And you were a conventional farmer, and you have moved in the last 2 years, is it?
Yeah, I was very conventional. I think I said I came home and I farmed with my father, and I think it was getting on okay. And in 2015, we had a super year. I thought I'd arrived. I thought I knew what I was doing. I was getting phenomenally good yields. Farming was flying. And then 16 happened. I got exactly half the yield, and I started scratching the back of my head saying, right, okay, maybe it's not me that's the difference. Maybe there's something bigger at play here. And I started looking at things a little bit more closely and realized that a lot of what I was doing actually wasn't having a positive effect on what I wanted out of the farm. Yeah. And then I took a step back, and then there was a couple of years where we had expensive fertilizer, and I rode back and I didn't see any difference. And then at one stage, a pal of mine who'd been at me for a while to go organic just said, sure, at this stage, what's the difference? And it was one chemical that I was relying on quite heavily. And
which one?
Glyphosate.
Is that Roundup?
Roundup, yeah. One of the names for it. And anyhow, I took a stab 2 years ago and haven't looked back. And it's an enjoyable experience. I'll have to say the last 6 or 7 years, I've actually enjoyed it a lot more. I'm not looking at lists of chemicals and which I can buy cheaper and what ones match what and how not to hurt the crop. Now all I'm trying to do is work with nature, embody a stronger plant, more vitality in the plant. And I'm trying to hook the plant up with microbes that will help get what I might be short of. So in doing that, I'm trying to get the best out of the plant's genetics and get it humming in my environment. So that's there's a number of different ways I'm doing that. One of them is your seed is your most important asset. So you work with that. So you look after it. So I would start by giving it a seed dressing, which would be a biological seed dressing. So it'll have a food source. It'll have a number of microbes that it will use because they're intrinsically connected. So when the plant starts to grow, it'll fire out a load of little roots. And then I want the microbes to be in that plant there growing and interacting with the soil as quick as it can. So that's a seed dressing I'll do. And then as the plant grows up, I will be coming back and I'll be feeding it various little things like seaweed, seawater, because it's got every element that there is in very minute amounts. So it's all very subtle. It's subtle energies and subtle things.
Well, let me give you an introduction then.
Okay.
And we'll go deeper into that, all right?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Right, Paul Muirhead, you're from County Meath. You're an 8th generation organic farmer. crop grower and a thoughtful voice in the shift towards working with nature instead of against it. You grow crops including oats, barley, rye, beans, peas, and linseed. And you're also involved in European level work through the Irish Organic Association, exploring the future of climate-friendly farming. You were originally a chemical farmer, as mentioned, and made the shift to organic recently. Your background, excuse me, brings together practical farming and scientific understanding. You studied agri-engineering, farmed at home for 8 years, later completed a first-class honours degree in chemistry, worked in research in NUIM, and then returned to farming with a deeper perspective. You've also completed multiple training courses with NOT's National Organic Training Skillnet and the Irish Organic Association, and have been influenced by groups and educators connected to organic, biological, and biodynamic farming. You don't speak about farming as just output or economics. You speak about it as the future of society, about trusting nature, keeping things simple, learning from other farmers, and recognizing that you are what you eat. You believe biological farming is the future, that going against nature simply does not work, and that the farmer's role is far more important than most people understand. What do you think people are not understanding about the farmer's role?
Yeah, that's a good one. I strongly believe that if we eat the right food, we will be healthier. I think we'd be more resilient. Yeah.
When you say the right food, what's the wrong food? The right and the wrong food?
Oh, just recently, and I'm not strong in this area, but ultra high, processed foods, you're knocking all the biology out of it. The more processed a food is, the less biology there is. Say, for instance, you eat flour. I believe it's 70% of the nutrient is lost, or the goodness of the wheat is lost in the first 24 hours after it's made. So essentially, we should all be milling our own wheat and using it within a day to get, the vitality and the minerals that are in that. And that's, again, fresh veg. They change, the minute you cut them, they're degrading. You're losing the biological aspect of it. I think, we've developed a lot in this world. Sorry. We've developed, or we've come to where we are by subtle interactions with our surroundings for millennia, billions of years, and we've been around for millions. And that's why we are where we are. And I think we need to sort of embrace that. And I think we need to be eating fresh food and, less processed. And I think you'd be better for it. Yeah. So like me, I'm going to do I eat processed food? Yes, sometimes I do eat. It's impossible not to.
But it's not my diet. You know what I mean? I try my best to eat healthy, and I am aware that I'm conscious of eating foods that are probably grown by chemicals, but it's not that it is kind of hard because it's not so convenient just to be able to go out and buy organic food, because the other thing about it is it's trying to make it complement your lifestyle, the way you live. But I know that there is definitely a movement towards more farmers applying I would say a natural way of farming, So what was the change for you then? Why did you say, that's it, I'm going to change? I know you mentioned earlier about your friend.
Yeah, no, but I had a good year, and I then had a bad year, and I couldn't see why, there was something larger at work, and it was the weather, and it wasn't the influence that I was having. I'd done everything the same in the 2 years, virtually looking back at the diary, and the 2 years were the same, and yet I'd got half the output. And yes, the weather was different, of course, but that was the bigger effect. So I started winding back the inputs that I was using. And over the course of about 5-6 years, I did see a drop in my yield. And yes, I was spending less money. There was a drop off. But when I got it right, the gap was in my favor.
When you say got what, right?
Well, when I got a really good yield.
This was though back in 2015, was it?
Oh, 15, 16, up till about 2020. And
this was when you were still using chemicals?
Oh yeah, I only stopped using chemicals 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And now when I say stopped using chemicals, I was using one in particular, the glyphosate, because I was doing no-till, which is a sort of a regen, not moving the soil very much or not at all. Which was great from my perspective because it meant that I could farm everything by myself, and it was cheap on diesel, it was cheap on time, it was easy. Everything was going actually really, really well. I was quite happy, from that point of view. The farming was relatively easy. Since I've gone organic, I'm back ploughing, which, to some people is not the ideal. It's not the worst thing. It's how you do it. I'm ploughing very, very shallow. I go drive relatively slowly, so I'm releasing less carbon into the atmosphere than I could potentially be if I was going deeper and faster. That's allowed me to deal with weeds, which is a problem that you have to deal with when you're trying to grow crops. Another way of which I've come around that is I'm doing this thing where I'm doing an intercrop. So I will grow 4 or 5 different cereals or plants in the one field together,
like just as a mix,
bring it all in. So I'll have peas, beans, oats, barley, and sometimes rye. I haven't done wheat yet, but I have linseed in there, and then I'll have an understory under that again, whereby I'll have a little bit of grass, I'll have a clover, I'll have then some herbs, yarrow, and the odd sunflower just to brighten up the place. Okay.
So why do you grow a mix of them? I assume. Now, how do you even harvest that?
They all bring with difficulty now, and
but
that's another problem.
Okay.
I do, yeah. No, I do
harvest them. All separately.
No, all together.
You harvest them together, but you don't separate them, do you?
No.
Yeah. So it's like a mix.
Do you sit down to a meal of one thing?
I mean, no. I'm just curious because I haven't heard of that before.
A little bit. No,
that sounds interesting.
It is very interesting. It has its challenges.
So is it like a cereal mix?
It's a cereal mix. It's exactly like what you'd buy. In fact, I've been chatting to somebody about that recently, but that's neither here nor there. We're growing it all together because each one of those plants, they have a different root profile, they have a different set of exudates, which is what when you put in sunshine, the plant gives out sugars. Okay, they interact with the soil microbiome. And
what do you mean put in sunshine? Because would sunshine not always be kind of there?
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Each plant processes the sun's rays, and it will give out sugars because they're interacting with the microbes in the soil to give them what they need to grow. Okay, so if you put in a monoculture, you've got the one crop, you've got the one signal going out, it's the one lot of things going on. So essentially, you're saying, I don't want anybody else. Okay, and then the following year, you're expecting a different crop then to interact with the soil. Whereas if you fire everything in together, okay, it's like the whole lot's coming on. There's a nice buzz. Everybody's happy. We're all jigging on together. Happy days. Okay, there's a buzz. There is also a synergy there as well because some of those crops will feed into each other. There's an interaction. They work well. There's no roadside in the country that doesn't have just the one thing, or there's very few. I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm just saying there's very few. Whereas you feel it does work quite well. As you mentioned earlier, the downside is, do they all ripen together? Yeah, they do actually. Yeah, not too bad. Now, and then in this climate where we have, intermittent sunshine and all the rest, there are ways around that. What I've started doing is swarthing it. So I mow it and let it wilt. Exactly the same as any farmer that's making silage. They'll mow it, leave it for a day or two, and then pick it up. I'm doing exactly the same with the cereals, and it's so far working reasonably well.
So has that evolved into your own product?
Yeah.
Because I mean, is there other? I've never heard of that. Does other farmers do that?
They do it all over Canada. They've done it all across the continent. It is there. It's not mainstream. No, I'm not. No. I got my inspiration. I met somebody at Biofarm in 2020, I'd say, and he's down in New Ross. I think he's Kilkenny. Richard Murphy, and he was at it. And it's just mind blowing. It was such a simple idea. I want to wilt something. I need to get it dry. Yeah, just cut its roots, and sure, the sun it'll desiccate itself. So that was simple. it's another job to do. That's the downside.
Yeah. So before then, you would have been spraying. Is it glyphosate?
Technically, no. Yes, so you've glyphosate. We would have in the past done that.
Yeah, which is Roundup.
So
what are what's the differences in the soil? Because I know that soil health is extremely important. Yeah. But I think a lot of people just look at soil as it's just
a medium.
Dirt.
Yeah,
it's just going to grow. But there is more to soil.
There's a nice book, Dirt to Soil.
Sorry,
there's a nice book called Dirt to Soil. But anyhow, we won't. There is a difference, and yes, you do see it. And
is that something that you were aware of beforehand? Because
inadvertently, yes,
kind of aware. But
I got rid of the stock. We had cattle and sheep on the farm, and in '99, I got very busy doing other stuff. I was, expanding the farm, moving on, and doing more tillage. And I sold the cattle and the sheep because I didn't need extra hassle when I was on a busy day. The cattle would break out or the sheep would break out. You'd have to go and do that, and it would be half the day wasted. And about 4 years later, and we didn't have a lot of sheep and we didn't have a lot of cattle, but we used to, rotate them around the farm. And about 4 to 5 years later, I started seeing some of the soils slumping a little bit, and they were getting harder to work. And I was having to go slower, and it was taking more diesel and energy to make a seed bed. And it wasn't until about 2015, 16 that I met a few people, and they were chatting about, you have to have mixed farming is the way to go, is the only way.
What's
you have to
mixed?
As in livestock, arable.
What's arable?
Cereals.
Okay, I haven't heard of that.
Crops growing.
Crops, yeah.
And you need the essentially cow poop to make it work. Which you do in many instances, but what I'm trying to do I'm a stockless tillage farmer. So what I've traded that in is I'm growing microbes in my soil, and they're my stock.
So what is a microbe?
It's a bacteria, it's a fungi, it's a protozoa, it's an amoeba, it's anything that's alive in the soil that is...
under a microscope?
Yeah.
Like that small?
Yeah. Well, there, again, it's Elaine Ingham and her soil food web. There's different tiers to that, okay? But so basically what I'm getting at is I try to farm, I will feed my microbes. I look after them.
So you're thinking on the microbes in the soil?
They're my livestock.
Yeah.
So basically, I will chop my straw. I'll reincorporate it. I don't sell it. I try and sell as little off the farm. How would I say this nicely? It's low value.
How did you come to figure out that was something that you needed to feed? Do you know the microbes?
Okay, well, years ago, I remember we used to do a share farm, and it wasn't great soil. And every year I chopped this straw, and it was because either the price of straw was bad or something happened. The following year, I'd get a half a ton to the acre more. Okay, so it didn't take long to figure out, right, there's something there. That's why. And then I sort of gradually started doing it on better parts of the farm. I'd chop the straw, and sure enough, you chop your straw, the following year you'd get a slight kick off that. So that's something we've moved through. And then a number of years ago, the Department of Ag offered straw chopping, and so we've jumped at that, and that's great. About 2017, I bumped into a guy called David Wallace through a group of friends, and Danu Farming, and they were chatting about biological farming, and they had a chagas plot. They had 4 plots, and the fourth plot was full out biological farming.
So what was on each plot then? So chagas?
I can't just remember the whole thing, but the first one was the chagas, what they call the Blue Book. It's their recommendations of how to grow a crop in Ireland.
So chagas it's a
semi-state body it's
an Irish government body.
And they're super. They do lots of research, and they're a fantastic aid. But their booklet was that you'd do X, Y, and Z, and you'd do this, that, and the other. And there was that plot. There was the second plot that was a little less of that and a little bit more biostimulants. And then by the time you got over to the other plot, it was full on biological farming. Okay.
So this was like a test running 4 plots.
Yeah. It was through an EIP, and it's all been written up, and it's there. It's available to read, I believe. It opened my eyes to where I was going. And through that, and then Biofarm started up in, I think, 2018. And we had Elaine Ingham. Where do I want to? There was a load of people from all over the world turned up in Ireland to talk about soil. So can't not go to that. And that's a super, super resource that we have available to us every November. Would highly recommend it. So we had all these people coming in. Yeah, it's all about microbes. You got to feed them. So what do they eat? Well, they eat each other is the start. Then the other one is they're there to break down stuff. So they need something to break down. So you put residue back onto the soil for them. But then the major one is it's sugars from plants. So you've got to keep living roots in the soil for as much of the year as you can. That is pretty much as simple as that. So as a tillage farmer, I plant a crop in either the autumn or in the spring, and I'm bringing it to a termination in the month of August, usually in my part of the world. And at that time, my crop it's senesced, it's died off naturally, and I'm just going in to get the valuable grains at the top. But there's no greenery underneath it. So that's where I've started down this route of using the intercropping and the number of different plants growing, so that when I go through and I harvest that, I have an understory that's still green, so it's still photosynthesizing, still putting sugars into the soil. So that's
small plants that are very low to the ground, or don't grow that tall.
Yeah, or
what kind of plants are they generally?
Well, I have a couple of. I used a couple of clovers in the past, and again, see, this is the other one. Is since I've gone organic, I'm not using knockdown or sprays to kill them. They seem to perpetuate, and they've.
So the weeds can have a benefit.
Oh, the weeds do have a benefit.
I say the word weeds because that's what they're referred to, but they're plants.
Well, funny you mention that. Is a weed is described as an unwanted plant. Okay, but when you actually go through it, there's a lot to be said for them. They bring a different profile.
So, sorry. First of all, the reason they grow generally is because they're there to regenerate the soil.
Yes.
But why are they removed? Is it because they take up space?
Yeah, well, see, if I'm trying to grow a crop of barley and I have something else in there, it's taking up it's the resources that my plant potentially would use. So it's using up the sunlight, it's using up the water, it's using up the nutrients. Okay. But if I fire it all in there, so the other one that I do sometimes, and I have to get better at it, it's on my to-do list this year, is to add more herbs to my, so when I'm planting my seeds, is to add a few herbs in with the crop. That you don't need a lot of them, it's just that they're there, that they're present, and that they bring something, and they'll bring a beneficial predator to eat, something that's, that I don't want in the field or something like that. But yeah, you're right. Plants grow for a reason. And very often a plant is a transitional thing that is there writing a problem. There's a book, When Weeds Talk, and basically from that you can say, look out at a field, see what's growing in the field, and you should be able to, if you knew it well enough, be able to say where that soil profile is without doing a soil sample. Okay.
Is that something you're able to do at the minute?
No, I'm not. No, that's way above me. No, I'm not. That's I've enough of the stuff going on. But it is interesting. So basically what I'm getting at is the last number of years I haven't been using chemicals, and I saw a flush of thistles, for instance. Okay. They all got harvested the same day. All the thistles went in with the barley, and they've arrived into the shed. And they do make the process of drying the crop a little bit harder. They're all there. But it's funny when you put it, and I've heard this from a number of people that I sell the feed to, that it's the first thing the animal picks out of the trough when they go in is the thistle head. That's what they go for. And then they'll eat the barley.
When you see the animals, so these are the animals walking through the field?
No, these are the animals that, so I harvest everything, I bring it into the shed, I dry it and then store it, and then I sell it on through the winter when somebody wants it for either sheep, cattle or horses. But it's funny when it would be seen as a weed seed, and yet there's the animal and it's picking the thistle head out. It's the first thing they want out of that. That's one. And then there's a number of other ones that are in there as well. The sunflowers.
So why do they go for the thistle?
Well, as far as I believe, the thistle is actually one of the most biodiverse plants there is, that it supports a whole raft of other life in the soil. Like if you lift up a large thistle, you lift up the bottom leaves and have a look in, there's a world of activity going on in under there. So that's bringing something. It's like, why do we add salt, or well, maybe not salt, but why do we add herbs to any meal we eat? You know, it brings something else to the plate, a greater depth, a greater, sensation. Yeah.
And what about, because you have so many different plants, say, in that field, right? What about the biodiversity of animals and insects? Or does that affect the growth?
I hope so. I'm led to believe it.
But do you see it even if you're in and about? I don't expect you to be out walking through the field every day.
Well, no, I am in the field every day. But I make that a point that I try and get across everywhere every day. Now, not all the farm, but I do go walking every day. And that comes down to another thing, is that I am part of the ecosystem. I have to emulate bring positive vibes to the farm. Okay, so I'm the farmer. I'm the one that's doing all the work. I'm affecting this ecosystem that I am in, or I'm influencing it. And so I do try to bring a positivity to it and an energy to it. So it is important to me. And as much as I used to enjoy walking through a really good crop of a monoculture, I actually enjoy growing through my diverse weedy looking patches as much, if not more so. And it stems to a number of years ago. The year had gone late and everything was going a little bit, and I direct drilled a crop of beans into what had been a cover crop, and it had phacelia, which is a beautiful blue flower that unfurls, and the bees absolutely adore it. But it also had mustards, and it had radishes and stuff like that. So there was white, there was blue, there was yellow, and then there was the white, and then beans in through it. And it was funny, I got my partner out of the house every evening after work. She'd, chomping at the bit to get out and get down to this field that was at the far end of the farm. And just the buzz that was in the field was huge. Anyhow, I didn't think much of it. The crop, because it was late, I didn't think it was going to amass to anything. But it actually really did quite well in the end. And it sold, and it was, there were comments about it. So that was when I started realizing that there was something to it, growing multiple crops in the one. And then, when I did a bit of research, I found out that they've been doing it in the UK and in other parts of the world, and in Ireland as well. And it's been quite, especially in the organic sector.
Yeah. So when my initial thought that's made for a cereal now, or but also you sell it as food for farms. Is that right? Or
yeah, no, I sell everything to other farmers.
Yeah,
I'm not.
But could you harvest that into cereals and stuff as well for humans to eat? No?
Yeah. We were chatting to somebody earlier in the year about doing that, and he was very interested in the one. I grow a winter crop, and it's peas and beans, rye, oats, and barley. But I made a mistake. I did this on my own bat, and we were chatting, and he sat there and he looked at me and he said, "You've made one mistake," and it was that the barley I used wasn't a naked barley, so it's a pearl barley. So it's got a husk on the outside that's very hard, and it just sticks in the back of your throat. But you can get a variety that doesn't have that, and if I'd used that, he was going to use it, and you can buy them in Lidl or Aldi, I think, or any supermarket. It's a pre-cooked. You just fire it in the microwave for 30 seconds, but essentially that's where we're looking to go: is a naked barley, a naked oat, a naked rye with a pea and a bean for human consumption. Yeah.
But is it 2015 6.6 tons an acre, and then 2016? Was 3.3, but you made the same money?
Yeah. Well, that was okay. In 15, because there was a bumper year all over, the price of grain went through the floor. And in 16, it was a bad year, so the price of grain went up. So it meant that the farm made virtually the same amount of money. It wasn't, but it was totally outside my control.
Okay. But did that nothing to do with the way you're currently working now then?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Where that was coming from was the difference in yield. I did virtually the same thing and it was all weather determined the output of the farm.
Okay.
The money thing was separate. That was outside influence.
But then knowing the weather now, I want to say knowing the weather, but at least trying to work with the weather because it's kind of nature. Has it taught you to farm in a different way? To
reduce my risk. So I was using a lot of products, and I was
products as in
chemical products and fertilizer, and I was more exposed to fluctuations in price. I had to get a high yield. I had to be up.
Why did you feel you had to?
Well, it's not that I felt I had to be. I couldn't pay the bill if I didn't.
So you needed it.
And then I was trying to sell it to somebody that was determined by, a bunch of traders that happened to live in, majority of them in Chicago, set the world market price. I was between a rock and a hard place, and then something happens somewhere in the world and the price of fertilizer goes up. That's one of my larger inputs. Everything was out of my control. Everything. Other than me doing it, I was working in between the weather. I was having to live with, inputs that were controlled, that came from Canada, Africa, or Russia.
Which is kind of the conditions that most farmers are
absolutely to this day.
So they don't.
Well, look at what's happened to the price of fertilizer in the last 3 weeks. It's gone up through the roof. So fuel is a small thing.
So taking a step outside that, then
absolutely,
you has been beneficial.
Yeah, hugely. Well, so far, for me, it has given me an independence to do what I want to do. It has allowed me to not be bothered by those outside influences that were huge.
When you say outside influences, like what are they?
For somebody else setting the price of my inputs.
Who sets the prices?
Well, that's a consumer thing. If something happens, like for instance, why has diesel gone up in the last couple of weeks? Because somebody did something somewhere that affected a boat that didn't arrive where it was supposed to.
So it's kind of like a top-down thing?
Yeah. It's totally out of our control.
You then step outside that system? Yeah. So now you're kind of on, you could say, more control of what your output is?
Yeah. More
autonomy?
More autonomy in that if I do what I do well, I have something, but it doesn't cost me as much.
Yes.
Does that?
If you have what you do well, it doesn't cost you as much.
Yeah.
But I assume you were always doing what you did well.
Yeah, but it cost me a lot of money to do that.
And that was through the chemicals, having to invest in that.
Yeah.
Just the chemicals, or? But I don't know. It's like, would there have been anything else?
Well, no, you just, think about it. There was a lot more of everything. So everything I did was, so if I, how do you put this? I didn't want to go here. If I had 4 tons to the acre, that was, my trailer is 10 tons. That's 2.5 acres per trailer. So everything, or I had to dry it, or I have to have a bigger shed. So everything, this thing of getting more and more and more means I'm busier and busier and busier. Okay. Whereas if I take a little bit less, I'm not as busy, and everything else doesn't cost as much then. That was where that came from. And the other one was I had other things going on at home as well. My father had Alzheimer's and more care was required. So I was on one side trying to balance bills, trying to do more to stay in the same place. And when I stopped that, I didn't have the bills. I could spend more time with him. I wasn't as busy chasing yield. And I ended up in a scenario whereby I had something that cost me a lot less sitting in my shed. So I invariably made more from it.
Did you feel...
That was conventionally, but that was, and I was still using some product, not all of it.
Yeah.
So that was me reacting to internal things as opposed to having external things forced on me. When the external things were forced, I was in a better place because I'd taken that decision. If that makes sense. Some people would see that as a lazy option. To me at the time, it seemed like where I wanted to be. I'm a happier person because I did it the way I did it.
Yes. Do you feel taking the first step from conventional farming to what you're doing now, was that the hardest, or what was the biggest step taken? Because you're having to change something that you've done all your life, and it's probably, it's all you've known as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of that, yeah.
But also, if you go back generations, it wasn't.
No, very well now.
You know what I mean? So it's not that far away too. Like,
yeah, well, we've changed. We're only. I'm a third generation cereal farmer. A lot has changed though in the last 100 years. Agriculture is very different, and even in the last 20 years, it's changed an awful lot. Everything, all the machinery has got bigger, which puts more pressure on the soil, the environment, and this whole thing of consolidation and farms getting bigger. It's.
When you say consolidation and farms getting bigger, what does that mean?
There's less people farming. I started with Dad in the early 90s, and we used to go to these meetings, and Chuggas used to say, you need 200 acres to survive. And I stopped going to those meetings in about 2001, and there were the same amount of people still in the room, and they were talking about 2,000 acres required. But Ireland's not getting bigger. Nothing is, and people weren't retiring at the rate, that wasn't going to happen. It was just funny.
Why did it jump from 200 to 2,000? Oh, I mean,
oh, sorry, right. But very simply, you couldn't make, the margins were so low. You needed that because your machinery costs are, everything goes up. And that was it.
Yeah, because
anyway.
I always hear farmers struggle. Yeah, it's not like it's easy work, and it just seems to keep getting more squeezed all the time.
Yep.
And that's obviously they're doing their best,
I didn't want to get into this, but into the conversation at all. But that has always been the case, and will always be the case.
Yeah,
because there's too many people making a living out of it.
Yeah. So is that like the prices are being set elsewhere?
There's that. Yeah, in both sides. Like, as I said, it's the only business whereby we sell wholesale and buy retail. And it's like agriculture in Ireland. I think there's 300 and something thousand people employed. There's only 9,000 full-time farmers in Ireland.
I was going to ask how many.
There's 114,000. I think, now again, I'm very bad on this. There's about 114,000 single farm payments in the Republic.
So would that mean that's how many farmers there are?
Yeah, but there's only, I'm not even sure if it's 9,000 full-time farmers. I think there's even less that only have the one income. So basically farming, you've got over 100,000 farmers have got a second job. So they're subsidising what they do at home as well.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm aware of that too. It's nearly become kind of like a pastime or hobby because it's too hard to make a living at it.
Yeah.
What does the future then look like for you? What do you see? What kind of future would you like? Because when you talk about the farming,
Well, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm really enjoying.
You're always learning.
I'm always learning. Yeah, listen, I love bumping into other people that have got in a similar track but different experiences because you learn from them. And I hope we love talking about it because it's interesting. It's close to our hearts. It's more than a job for me. It's a hobby. It's my poor partner can't. She works 9 to 5 or whatever, and she likes her job too. But when she comes home. But I'm still out farting about making brews and ferments and.
Why? What else do you make?
Oh, sorry. Well,
when you say brews or ferments,
well, this is it. Okay, so all the things that I do on the farm, I brew up seaweed. I do ferments. So I make a lactobacillus ferment,
which is
it's a bacteria. Okay,
for
everything.
Like a supplement.
No, well, yeah. Well, it's okay. I use it to protect my plants from other non-negative or bad bacteria. So on your skin, generally speaking, you don't have problems until you're run down or there's a problem, and then the next thing is you'll get a rash or something can happen. Okay, so plants are the same. They, generally speaking, are relatively healthy. Like you look on the side of the ditch, most of the plants you'll see there are, fairly healthy looking plants. Okay. So they're covered in a whole layer of bacteria, fungi that are looking after that plant. So I then, to protect my crops that are in the field, will go and make or ferment using other plants and lactobacillus, and I'll then spray that over everything to help protect the crop, okay, and keep it as healthy as possible for as long as possible. The fact that it's a biological thing, you actually have to go a little bit more often. So I make a ferment of lactobacillus, and then I will fortify that with different types of plants throughout the year when I need different things. So as the plant is growing, it will need different inputs. And then I will go and ferment, say, a nettle plant, and I'll use it and I'll spray it on, and it'll give what the plant needs as it's growing then. Or later on, then there's another one that I'll use as horsetail. So I'll ferment a horsetail, mare's tail or whatever, and spray that on. Is
that to prevent a certain like insects or bacteria?
It can be
both.
It's both, and fungi more so in this climate. So I'll use a horsetail, which is extracting silica.
Is horsetail? Is that
mare's
a fungi?
No, it's a plant. It's a very, very old plant. It doesn't have a xylem and a phloem, and it grows on the edge of fields in damp areas, and it'll pull lots and lots of silica out of the soil. So, and then you use silica then to strengthen the cell walls of your plant to protect it from pathogens, namely fungi.
Yeah, because I spoke to Dean, Mervyn.
Oh yeah,
Mervyn and
in base.
Yes, in base, which you're part of, and obviously that's how we connected. But he talked about. Well, I had a good chat with him, and the plants and the insects, and there's this, I would say, understanding that insects are bad for the plants, for certain insects, so they come, and if you're growing a monocrop or whatever, that's a bad thing. But I think he was explaining to me that it's not, or I couldn't fully understand it, but it sounded really interesting. It was just, there was a knock-on effect. It was about the biodiversity of the plants and how it actually benefits all the different insects coming to the plants. Yeah,
hugely.
Yeah, do you know much about that? Or like,
okay, well, the one I think he was talking about was an aphid, which you'll have in your roses as well, or your black fly or green fly on your your
that's
veg.
What he did talk about, the green fly.
That is, they digest a really short carbon sugar. Okay, so they like a particular type of food. Okay, if you've got a healthy plant, it will have a more complex sugar within it. Okay. So to build that more complex sugar, you need to go slower. So basically that problem is caused by excessive nitrogen or too much nitrogen too early. Okay.
And the nitrogen is in the soil?
The nitrogen you apply to the soil is taken up by the plant. And if it's taken up rapidly, it will cause
the nitrogen, sorry?
That doesn't matter. If it's too high, if it's there in the soil, if it's there already, if there's too much nitrogen brought up into the plant, the aphid will be attracted to it. So in a way, it's nature's way of getting rid of a food that it feels is not going to be strong enough or got enough vitality. Okay, so it's cleaning. It's like, it's not a good thing.
So that to have an aphid. Nitrogen is through fertilizer?
Yeah, through fertilizer. It's over fertilization.
What's happening then in the soil if you put fertilizer in?
Now, that's a totally different question, and that's huge. Okay, so fertilizer is a salt, essentially. So you spread it on the soil.
It's predominantly.
When was the last time? Did you ever have a cut on your finger and you put it into the salt? Do you remember what happened?
Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, well, it stings. It stings a lot.
Well, it's funny. I do remember putting my hands in fertilizer as a kid.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt a sting.
Exactly. There you go. Right. So you've got a really potent salt, okay, because you want it to split and the plant to take it all up. Okay. There are other downsides to that, is it's then soluble and will disappear off if there's a lot of rainfall. But you've got a salt there. Where are we going with this?
what happens in the soil when you...
What happens in the soil, okay. A lot of what happens is the biology, like your hands, wants to get away from it. Doesn't want to have anything to do with it.
Stinging,
because it's reacting with its skin, it's stinging, it's burning it. Okay, so I remember hearing somebody saying years ago.
So when you should get away, is it killing it?
Yeah. Well, if you spill, if something happened to the edge of the field when you were driving in through the gate and a little bit of fertilizer went out round the back, the next thing you'd see about 10 days later was a bare patch where everything was dead in there. So
that is the biology, is that the microbes?
That is their microbes really not liking that amount of salt, and it's having a really negative effect on it. Okay, so why go putting something, and I can't remember, was it, Christine Jones, I think it was, said that if you go over 15 units of nitrogen, which is a value, an amount that it's, which is not a lot, it has an adverse effect on the biology in the soil. Okay. It's like you sitting down to a meal and not being able to digest it all or eat it all. It's not good. So a little and often is way better than one big amount when it comes to that.
What is the information then that is being fed out with the nitrogen? Because if it's not, or with the fertilizer, because if it's not good for the soil, obviously there's...
But it can be good for the crop, okay? It has a positive effect on the crop, or it has a desired effect on the crop, okay? But
so the crops in the... Sorry, I'm just trying to understand this. The crops in the soil, there's no biology to feed it, but the fertilizer's feeding it then?
Well, see, that's in a conventional system, okay? Whereas what I'm trying to do in an organic scenario is to get my soil humming with microbes. So I'm trying to feed the microbes and get them what they call cycling. And you get into a situation whereby you have bugs living and dying. And the bug dying is actually, it's called necromancy. And it's, you're providing a source of nitrogen to your plants, but it's biologically active and it's stable. So if I feed my soil, I have my bugs growing and living. As they die, they're then feeding my crop. Okay. And I heard you earlier mentioning Gaia. Gaia is this thing of breathing in and breathing out the soil. So you feed the soil in the autumn when things are quietening down. Okay. And then in the spring, Gaia gives out. Okay. So you don't want to be going in with lots of chemical fertilizer in the spring. And I know chemical farming or traditional farming has been using a lot of fertilizer in the spring to boost growth and go with that. But that's not working in conjunction with your soil biology. It's essentially working against. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. It does work. You do get a crop response, but at what cost?
Yeah. What does that cost?
And I don't know anything about the quantifying that or
but you like obviously we spoke a little bit too, and you talked about there's people doing research and it's the gut health that comes back. So we're eating food then it's less not as nutrient dense.
Yeah,
and it's kind of, I would say, probably blown up.
Yeah, we talked about that, and Dan Kettridge trying to quantify the nutrient density of food. I think my personal view on it is that if you have a soil that is buzzing and you have everything, you'll bring more to the party. Now, he's very quick to say that, there can be bad organic farmers with low nutrient density and there can be bad conventional farmers with low nutrient density. But he's also said there can be very good conventional farmers with very high nutrient density. So that's a very hard one to quantify. And again, that's outside my remit. But I like the idea of a diverse crop growing with a diverse group of microbes that bring a diversity to that seed that I'm growing and looking to sell on. I think none of us like sitting down to a meal that's just got one thing in it. I think we all need to have a greater spread. And I think it brings on something that goes back to where I was chatting about earlier, was that, we've developed slowly over millennia with subtle interactions with our environments, which is what has made us what we are. So coming back to that, when I'm planting my seeds, I do home save seeds. I use my own seed. I do buy in other seeds.
When you say your own seed, as in from previous
crops, yeah. And so what I'm doing there is I'm taking the seeds that grow best in my environment, okay, and I'm choosing them and I'm putting them back in that environment again. So I think it gives me something that's a little bit stronger, more related to working with the microbes that are in my soil.
Yes.
So I hope in a course of a number of years that I will end up with my own version of their seed. I pay royalties. I'm doing all that. It's all about...
What do you mean? Sorry.
Oh, for every ton of grain I plant or every seed I sow, I pay the plant breeder through...
when you say where you originally got the plant seeds?
Yeah. They own the rights to that.
Okay, I didn't know that you could own the rights to a seed.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the whole thing is stitched up. I can't sell you anything for you to sow. This shouldn't be on. You have to cut this out.
Why?
Because it's all controlled.
Who's controlling it?
In this country, it is the PVDO. They're in Leeson Street, I think. Plant Variety.
I heard about this. It's
a lovely film with Christopher Walken in it, and it's somebody at the Giant. I can't remember.
So I see clips and stuff online of looking to own the seeds that you can't actually own the seed. I didn't think that was a reality.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But this is now.
So you tell me that
I haven't looked into this recently.
Yeah, I can't just go.
If you grow a hybrid seed, it's a genetic hybrid, and it is illegal to replant that. Okay.
If it's a different kind of seed, then
depending on the type of seed. Okay, oilseed rape, for instance, in this part of the world is, I think, at this stage all hybrid. Okay, so you're not supposed to be able to, or you're not allowed.
So this is new to me. When you say hybrid, so it's not a natural seed then? It's like a branch of a seed?
It has been engineered either through...
But it's still an okay seed.
No, they're viable.
It produces plants that are healthy or that they're good to eat.
That's way above my pay grade. I'm not qualified to talk about that.
Yeah. But are they not the seeds that you're working with? No?
No.
Sorry, I'm misunderstanding.
No, I don't know.
So the seeds that you have are all your own?
They're not hybrid seeds. So they're not.
Yes.
They're not.
I thought you said they were, sorry.
No, I don't use it. No.
So the hybrid seeds, who's using them?
Well, any oilseed rape. Growing. So any crop of yellow that you'll see growing in the next month or two for oilseed,
barley, no.
Well, there are hybrid.
Kind of yellow.
There's a bright yellow flower, and it's a brassica, Brassica napus. It grows, and the majority of it is.
So that's not a natural plant.
It is a natural plant, but it has been bred,
it's engineered, though.
Yes, in a way.
So it's kind of not natural.
No,
and then that's rapeseed oil, is that what you said?
That is rapeseed oil, yeah.
Which I think is not great.
It's okay, yeah, it's not bad. It's use it, cook with it. Yeah, you'd be better off using camelina,
right?
Newgrange Gold.
What about Roundup then? Where did that start? How did that come
1974.
And it's still seen as somewhat, acceptable. You disagree?
Don Huber says it's 86% of the world's problems.
86%. How did they come up with that number?
I don't know how he came up with that. And then he said neonicotinoids, which were brought in for bees, as a aphicide to control aphids.
Insects.
He said is another 6 or 8% of the world's problems. And then all the other chemicals combined to the remainder. So he's putting a big weight on the shoulder of Roundup. Yeah. Again, that's outside my remit. I don't know. We talked briefly about it earlier. Zach Beck says the oncologist in America has gone to a higher level and done research on that, and he said there's a direct correlation between autoimmune, autism, and various other problems.
Illnesses to Roundup.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that kind of just early phases or stages of research in that then?
No.
They're researching this.
Done it, looked into it all.
But it's not really.
He's published it all, I believe.
Yeah, it's not, I suppose, mainstream then?
No.
Because it's still widely used and probably.
Everywhere. It's the largest product in the world.
Why would they do that then if even the studies and research, is it to do with profit?
That's beyond my remit. It is the largest product sold in the world. From controlling that, everybody uses it.
Yeah. What does it do to the soil though? I listened to that. It doesn't seem it does a good for the soil.
No,
soil health.
Yeah, doesn't. The residuals and then the components of it, AMPA. No, it's not good. And
then that runs off to.
I'm not qualified to talk into all of that.
It's not even a case of being qualified. I'm just trying to understand it too and create awareness around the positives and the negatives of what people use.
Zach Beck, Unwin, Don Huber, they cover that well, way better than I do. And in fact, I did take a couple of screenshots. I'll send them on to you on that. But I used to rely on Roundup quite a bit. I used not an awful lot. For me, it was a necessary evil. I felt it was like a crutch. I won't say I was addicted to it, but it made the job of farming very, very easy. I'll rephrase that. It reduced my diesel bill. It reduced my time involved on the farm. So it was quite handy. But if somebody is using it, there are right ways to use it that make it more cost effective for them. So reducing the pH of the water that you're using the Roundup in to spray onto the crop that you're trying to kill. I'd use citric acid. And then to make it more biologically acceptable, as in that it's not going to be as hard on the biology, then would be to add in a fulvic acid to it to make it more, lessen its blow on the biology. Yeah, so you can understand then why farmers don't really have a choice to use it because, they're already being squeezed enough. Yeah. But what I'm getting at is if you use those two little things, they're not that expensive. Well, sorry, fulvic acid is quite expensive, but for what it does, it's cheap. And then the citric acid then to reduce the pH. That is, I think, a necessary thing if you are doing that. So you need to take the initiative to, people would need to, convenience. Then sometimes people rely more on convenience. Yep. So if people want to make that change, that's the first two steps they could take. What about farming then now with a more, a more connected way, with the plants, with the land and your instinct? How is that affected in the last 2 years, of just going chemical free and how you kind of feel with the land? Yeah. Do you feel any more connected? Well, as I said to you, I'm enjoying it more. There are challenges, and I'm enjoying working towards, coming to terms with how to deal with the challenges. Sorry, how do I say that? The increased variety, brackets weeds that are in the crop.
That excites.
Absolutely. And you see them growing. Okay. I did one 2 years ago. I went about 4 years ago. I went to a friend's farm, and he's a biodynamic farmer in Kildare, and he was growing a crop of oats. And I was in with his brother chatting away, and I looked in across the ditch, and there was all these weed called charlock. It's a sort of a type of brassica, and it was very prevalent. And 2 weeks later, I went on a farm walk, and it was gone. Now, it wasn't dead. It was still there in the crop, but it had literally been switched off. And I couldn't believe this. Anyhow, we were chatting away about it, and it was a biodynamic preparation that he'd used on the crop. He'd gone out on a leaf day and he had picked, first thing in the morning, he'd picked 100 grams of charlock per hectare. He'd brought it home, chopped it all up, put it into a pot, brought it to the boil, simmered it for an hour, taken it off, went back out and sprayed it on the crop. Okay? And in the 2 weeks, it had just told, basically what he did was it was signaling to the crop that your job is done. Sorry, the weed, that this is the charlock. Your job is done. Thanks a million. Good luck. Okay, so that could be seen that it's trying to rectify, I believe, sulfur. Okay. 2 years ago, I went home and I did the same. And I ran out. We were just about to go on holiday, and I ran out into the field that morning, chopped everything up, brought it home, simmered it, put it into the sprayer, went out and sprayed it out on the field, and went on holidays. And 2 weeks later, we came home, and I'd been a bit late doing it, so there was a bit more of it than I'd seen in my pal's field. And from the day that I'd sprayed it, everything above that was flowering didn't go to seed, but anything that had been fertilized, so the lower half of the plant went to seed, but the top half of the plant didn't go to seed. Okay, I had 2 fields of that crop.
When you say go to seed, sorry.
Yeah, I manipulated the plant.
Yeah.
Essentially, that it had not developed any further. Okay. It was as if I'd said, thanks a million, your job is done.
Is that what you wanted?
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
didn't want them to grow anymore?
No.
Okay.
This was the weed. Okay, so it was in a crop of oats.
I was thinking the crops.
It was in a crop of oats.
Yeah.
But it had a double... I'm now looking back at this, and I've learned a little bit more about it since. At the time, it was pure luck. I just happened to be doing it on a day that was in the biodynamic calendar, a leaf day, and the moon was in a favourable phase. The moon was in a favourable phase.
So what is a favourable phase?
We'll get to that in a minute. It was at a favourable state in the growing of the plant. Okay, so I went and I sprayed it, and I went off on holidays, came back. I didn't do it in the other field at home. Or sorry, no, that year I did do it in the 2 fields. And anyhow, basically what I'm getting at is that crop was a better crop than the other field. So I gave that crop something it needed, and that's why the weed was growing there. So the weed was growing to fix a problem, and when I took it and put that subtle energy for that out, I was telling the other plant, here is what you need as well. So it put its shoulder on the one I didn't want, and it gave a little boost to the one I did want. So there was a difference of about 0.5 ton to the acre between the 2 fields, the one I did do and the one I didn't do.
Was that a test or?
No. It was purely time constraints, and I
just didn't have enough time.
Farming is observation. You know, you look, you do things that don't work out. You try different things.
In the moon phase.
We'll get to that in a minute. The following year, I went out and I thought, this is great. I can just do this. I picked everything. I went and did it all, and I did every crop in the place. And I thought, this is great. No effect whatsoever. Didn't change anything, didn't kill it or anything. And I was scratching my head, and I was on a course with Knots later on that year, and I met somebody, and he said, yeah, well, did you do it on a leaf day? And I was Capricorn in the right constellation. And I said, what? And I went back and I had a look at my diary, and sure enough, the year before, everything was aligned and right, and it had worked. And last year, it wasn't right, and it didn't work. So now I know this year there are 2 days in the month of June and 2 days in the month of May where I can go out and do that job. So I'm going to brew up a go and go and have a look at that. It may or may not work. It could be, I don't know. But
you're going to test it out.
Put it this way, it has worked. It's
what is this? Is the moon cycle, is it, or the lunar cycle?
That's part of it. It's to do.
So what is the leaf day then?
Leaf day is. That's a good question. That's a leaf day is when things are flowing upwards into the leaf from the floor. Again, I'm learning this. This is new to me. And then you get root days, and then you get black days, which are days of the month where you shouldn't really go out and garden at all.
And how do you know what these days are?
I use a biodynamic calendar. This one is Maria Thun. There's a couple of apps as well you can get.
Okay, so what's that based on? Is that the constellation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Constellations and the phases of the moon, and then going further out, if we're like, we're 70% water and we feel the movement. The tides are all brought in and out with the moon. So needless to say, plants are the same as us, if not more so water. So they're equally affected by that. So when you have a full moon, you don't want to be doing any foliar applications to the plant, conventional or organic or anything else. Okay,
what's happening?
It's a negative influence.
The full moon is
the greatest pull.
It's the greatest pull.
Yeah,
so that's when you don't want to be doing anything.
A new moon is when you'll have the greatest effect, and then the either side of that, the waxing and waning moons, you will have an effect. But there is a time of the month you definitely don't go. There's 1 week out of the 4 weeks you don't go spraying.
Okay. Right.
And that was a very conventional farmer in Tipperary told me that. Nothing to do with
conventional farmer?
Very conventional, Jesus. Yeah. He's very unconventional,
Well, it doesn't surprise me because, if we're practically water, why wouldn't the tide have some kind of energetic pull? If the tides do, So why wouldn't everything is right there?
Yeah.
Anything that, it's mostly water too.
But again, coming back to it, we live in a funny climate in this part of the world. So it can't be the full influence. You try and get it as close to that as you can. But if there's a good day and I have jobs to do, I will go and do them. So it's not the be all and end all. Or you can't let it be the be all and end all. So you'd never end up doing anything.
Yeah. Is that all the cycles that you've just went over? Is there others there you want to
in the books?
Yeah, just curious.
Well, that one's just the Maria Thun one, and it's published every year. There comes a calendar.
Who's with Maria? Who?
Maria Thun, the late Maria Thun,
and she is from,
I think, Switzerland or Austria. I don't actually know very much about it. I know her 2 children are now doing it, but it's a nicely done out calendar, and it comes with other things then that are in it. It's about.
Do you want to go through other books there as well?
Yeah, well, that's the Maria Thun calendar. I do use that. That one's not actually that thumbed and used. It's a sort of when you can plant things out, when to transplant.
Leaf and fruits. Yeah.
What's it's to tend. Again, I'm not overly. I'm not overly.
And then the root. And then the constellation of the
constellations
moon,
is on
and the solar and lunar events, so it's all lined out for you.
Yeah.
And the root as well, and the flower.
Yeah. So that's to do with I believe it's to do with the movement of the liquids in the plant.
Yes.
As to when that's good. Again,
is this the first year you're kind of...
No, I've had it for about 6 or 8 years, but again, I'm only just getting there.
Yeah.
It's a progression. I'm not there yet. Biodynamic farming sees the farmer as an integral part of the farm. It's all about subtle energies, and it's about then using a number of preparations which are derived from various herbs, but there are 2 main ones. One is a horn manure, and then the other one is a horn silica. So you can help manipulate the energy in the soil. It's about energies, and then there are compost preparations that fortify the availability of essential nutrients that plants need. Again, I'm very interested in the direction I'm going.
Interesting, yeah.
I think that's not, having been on a number of biodynamic farms, you just get an aura.
That's the ones that
are applying these preparations and doing. They look super.
Yeah.
They're thriving. Yeah, they're thriving. Yeah, you don't need to.
So there's a lot of farmers in Ireland practicing.
Yeah. I believe we're for the population density, we're one of the highest biodynamic preps. Now it's small
because a lot of that's seen as not just in farming, but constellations, they can be seen as woo. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard to prove, but the fact that I suppose there's farms you see thriving, working off that, that's
yeah. Well, that's it. Don't knock it till you have it a go.
Yeah.
And everything I've seen so far with it, just happens to be working, and you get a feeling. You walk into a room, you know something's right, or you know it's wrong. You walk into many biodynamic farms, you just know it's right, and that's what I aspire to. So that's why I'm
Sounds exciting.
giving it a go. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Watch this space. We're about to delve into it in a little bit more gusto this year. So I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff. What about the other books then?
I have a number of other ones here. Yeah.
Tell me about them.
What Your Food Ate, which David Montgomery, very interesting guy. He's written a few good books. Very interesting, actually.
And Reclaim Our Health.
Yeah. That's a nice one. This one is Nigel Palmer's The Regenerative Grower's Guide to Garden Amendments. As you can see, that is well thumbed. It's used on a regular basis. Basically, he's looked at all the various different farming techniques, biodynamics, Korean natural farming, Jadam, and a number of others, natural farming. And he's slightly less rigid than any of the rest of them. And he said, give it a go, chance it, and use what you can find locally. Make your preparations. So he's fermenting things, he's mixing things up, he's doing stuff. It's accessible, it's easy, and it's easy to read. That's that one. Then the one that started me was I was actually listening. I don't even know how I ended up, but it was.
I feel like I've heard of Nigel Palmer. Maybe
he's a gardener, yeah. And then there's this one is that the Nigel Palmer, the singer from the 1980s?
I don't know. I definitely don't know any of these singers though. Maybe, who knows?
That I heard, which this is probably the reason I got involved in any of this in the first place, was Isabella Tree, and she's involved in Knepp Estate down in the south of England, and they just closed the gates in '99 and wilded the place, drove everyone nuts. It's actually a good read. It's some interesting things.
Wilding the return of nature to a British farm.
Yeah. Well, it's rather large. It's 3,500 acres, I think. But it's yeah. So it's a big estate.
What Isabella Tree? Okay.
Yeah.
I spoke to a fellow called Clive Bright, and he talked about some farming holistic approach, but it was on a large farm as well in Scotland, I think.
Yeah, but he's into holistic. Again, that's with cattle, and that is phenomenally successful. That can be a game changer for stock, but that's not my area.
I think everything, and also something this was on a previous episode, that he says it's important that everyone has, that there's diversity within the farming community as well. Because if everybody did the one thing, then you're kind of back to the monoculture. Yeah. Very good. So The Wilding.
It's a good book. She's good. I think I heard her on Desert Island Discs. I think is where I heard it for someone. Anyhow, I went off and I bought the book, and I haven't regretted it. I've really enjoyed it. And it was...
What has that taught you about, say, your...
Wilding?
Yeah. Nature
does things for a reason.
Yeah.
And she'll do what she does. And you mightn't... you have to live with it. It's a transition. And... you can influence it. And it's not always pretty.
Yeah.
It does things that you're not...
Yeah, that you may not think is, but that's doing its thing,
there's predator-prey, and there's, things go up and things go down, and sometimes it's not easy to look at some aspects of it. Well, that's what happened in Holland with the one that she was basing, or they looked at and then said, yeah, we're going to do that. It got to a stage where it got nasty, and there were lots of... the train line went past the experiment, and one of the ace predators ended up dying, and there were bodies all over the place, and people didn't like it, and the whole thing got shut down.
What kind of predator?
I can't remember. It was some large animal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't pretty, apparently.
No.
Yeah. Caused all sorts of alarm. There then is... I haven't read. That's my latest one is The Farm is an Ecosystem, Jerry Bernetti. He's not... Well, and that leads on then.
The farm is an ecosystem, tap in nature's reservoir.
Yeah.
Biology, geology, diversity.
Yeah. You get the drift. And then the next one then is the biodynamics. Again.
Evaluating your soil fertility management.
Yeah.
Foliar nutrition, trace elements, water in your farm, benefits of biodiversity. Resilience to crop destroyers. Where's she from?
I actually don't know. A lot of these guys are English or American. I think this Acres USA is a great resource for good books and good people.
Yes.
It is good. But that leads on then to these guys. So there's an American guy, Hugh Lovell, who's at a different level with the biodynamics. He's sort of taken it on.
Quantum level?
Well, that's what the book is called. But yes, it is, yeah. And it's talking about stuff, that's beyond me. That is an amazing reference. It's impossible to read from start to finish, but as a reference, it's pretty good. I really like that. And then you have this
quantum agriculture.
Yeah, it's a
biodynamics and beyond. Hugh Lovell.
Hugh Lovell, yeah.
Hugh Lovell.
The late Hugh Lovell.
Just beware your feet. Beware you faint-hearted and conventional thinkers. You Lovell brings biodynamics to a place of practical application which challenges the very essence of status quo paradigms. Now I have a clear practical guide to hand anyone who asks, what is biodynamics? Thank you, Hugh. So he's a multidisciplinary scientist and teacher of soil science, biodynamics and quantum agriculture. Does he talk about it kind of on that level?
Yep.
A quantum level, yeah.
He's unreal.
That sounds interesting.
It is, yeah. He unfortunately died 2 years ago, I think. I was only lucky. I went on one of his courses and thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't understand half of it, but I'm getting there slowly.
Yeah.
An incredible guy. But again, there's lots of...
as with the soil as well as the wider universe.
Yeah.
Does he go further than Earth? Really?
Yeah. Once you go over to the other side, to America, you get a lot of spirituality coming into it.
Yeah.
You can dip into that as you like. There is a consummate professional
biodynamic manual.
Yeah, that's
instructions for farmers and gardeners.
He's a Frenchman, Vincent Masson, and Pierre and Vincent.
The definitive practical manual for biodynamic farmers and gardeners with a section on viticulture. Is that right? Viticulture? I haven't heard of that term. Ground interested in practicing or turning to biodynamic gardening and farming methods. Numerous detailed questions. Very good.
So that one is another one. I've only just bought that one, but that's basically talking about the interaction between plants and how they benefit each other. So how tomatoes love carrots.
As in growing together.
Well, the one that I've come across is beans and wheat, in that the roots work really well together. So there's a benefit there, and you get a greater protein level and a nicer wheat for bread making when you grow the two of them together. I'm not involved in that, but there are a number of people doing projects on that in the Republic this year. So that's an exciting area. But as I said, when it comes to doing intercropping, the various different plants bring something else to the party. And I think it adds to the whole story. So for me, the greatest part of it is I sell something to somebody and they go away, they feed their animals, and they come back to me 2 weeks later and say, geez, I want some more of that. That was great. My animals look super. That's what I'm after. That's the proof in my pudding. When I get that, it works. Equally, there's other ones. Sure, doesn't matter what they eat. And, that's grand. That's fine. No problem with that. But I love when somebody comes back and says, yeah, please, can I have some more of that?
Yeah.
That's when you know you're working right.
Good. You also talked about Gaia. Obviously people in America too. Is that something you've always kind of looked at? Yeah?
Yeah.
How have you always had that point of view or perspective?
That one, I don't know where that one came from. She's always been around. I've always known of her. I guess my first one was the way in which in the morning, the earth wakes up and then she closes down in the evening. So depending on what you were trying to do, there are various things you do at different times of the day. Yeah, that's where that one came from. I don't know.
Yeah, because I see her as a living spirit.
Oh yeah.
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 She's alive, and her physical form is the planet.
Yep.
Kind of us too.
Yeah.
We're
part of it.
Exactly.
We're just one little speck.
Yeah. But that's kind of going into a deeper level then of energetics, and some may say spirituality, and I suppose it's like the spirit world in a sense, like the human spirit, the spirit of Earth, she's alive. But a lot of people just look at Earth as an object, You know, it's just there for us to take from. You know,
No.
But yeah, I can't imagine there's. Well, what I have noticed is in the organic world, or the people who are actually conscious about what they're doing as farmers, they are very aware of that. You know, they do see the planet as something that they need to take care of, because the planet's taking care. You know,
Yep.
we take care of the planet take care of us.
Yep.
You know, but I think conventional, not all.
It's not all take. You got to give a bit.
Yeah.
And you take a little bit for you, but you got to leave enough for everything else too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
if you want to be here for the long haul.
Yeah, as in humanity.
Yeah, as in humanity.
Because otherwise we'll just, she'll just get rid of us anyway.
Yeah.
It's not that we're doing her harm, we're doing ourselves harm. Like,
no, we'll go.
Back.
When he was the head of the, or what do you go, your man, is it Simon Gove in England?
Who?
Oh, he was the agricultural minister 6 or 7 years ago.
Simon Coveney, no?
No, not in the UK. Stood up and said that, you know, we'd 40 to 60 years left in agriculture if we kept hammering away, and you know, that there wouldn't be any,
as in like kind of damaging the soil.
Yeah, there was a big push a couple of years ago saying that we were wrecking everything. We'd only 40 to 60 years left. There are other people that say that, but for different reasons. So yeah, no, it's scary times if you think of it that way.
But it's hard. How do you determine whether you have? How does someone know that you have 40 to 60 years? How does that person say, okay, this is all we have? How do they know that? No, well, I'm going to give you my point of view.
Zach Beck, go and read his thing, and that's.
And what
scary.
does he
say? Basically, what he's saying is we've had the autoimmune. He said the next level, the next generation is autism. And the next level is sterility. So the next generation is sterility. Yeah. Well, think of all of those things. They're all in everyday life here. You know. Well,
them things are already existing. I mean, there's a lot of people. I won't say a lot, but you hear people who cannot have kids. You know,
it's huge.
Yeah, but
there's hospitals popping up all over the country at the moment.
Yeah,
yeah.
But also, I'm always open. I'm not going to say that that's 100% true, but it's just like, was that a reality? I don't know, 67 years ago. I don't know. Was there studies done? How do we compare? You see,
don't know.
Yeah,
but it's just interesting, and I believe he's done research on that.
Sounds
to back it all up.
What's his name? Zach
Beck.
Zach Beck.
Yeah. He was at Biofarm, I think, in 17.
He's from America.
Yeah. He's an oncologist. Who was wondering why the problem was getting worse at an alarming rate. No matter what they did, it was sort of getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, because then there's people who will come up and say, oh, that's not true. Like, food is not the reason my child has whatever condition they have, you know?
Yeah.
So it'd be worth checking him out.
Yeah, have a read, or Unwin. If you've got diabetes, Dave Unwin is getting on well at that, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I get you, and I'm the worst. I love a packet of crisps, and I can't. I'm not saying the potato is bad, but convenience food is very convenient, and we are living in a busy world. We it is a harsh world that we live in, and the idea of going slow and like 2 weeks ago, we had a homegrown meal that was all homegrown, and it was lovely.
Yeah.
But it took me all day to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you have to be prepared to put the time. But I bet it was rewarding.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing better than sitting down and having your own sausages for breakfast, or your own, ham when you're doing it, and with your own spuds and veg. But again, you've got to grow them. You've got to put the time in, the effort in to look after them and get them there, and then pick them and then cook them.
Yeah.
And do it all. Which is great. Don't get me wrong. I love doing it, but it's a full-time job. Nearly.
But also, if you have people in your community that do that as well, you know that you're getting food from someone who does care about what they're growing. That's an option as well.
Absolutely, and it should be one that we should embrace, because that is what actually makes the world go round. We have to live in a community. We can't all work somewhere and come back via whatever. And that is the way the world was, the way the world should be.
And I had a previous guest on, and she was talking, Joanne Fullerton, she was talking about community farms, so where people can come and grow their own crops. Like a farmer's given a piece of land in the local area. So it's it's a community farm basically, and then there's a bit of a support there.
You need to go and have a chat to Noel Higgins down in Uru Farm down in Thomastown in Kilkenny. They've set that all up. One of the first ones in the country.
Yes,
because there's issues around ownership and things like that. Which have to be dealt with.
Right. Well, the way this one works is there's a farmer given a piece of land to allow people to come and do that work. Does that still intertwine with what you've said?
Well, they've got together as a group and they've bought a bit of land and they're setting it up. But they have somebody doing veg. They have somebody doing, cows. So they've got a dairy, and then they're doing herbs. They're doing all sorts of intertwined. It's like it's a collective working together, and a lot of these things all lean on each other and take, how would you call it? A circular economy, I think is the word you'd like to use. Coming back to your biosphere, that they all work within a group, and yet they're all leaning on each other, and yet they're individual businesses that all have an output but rely on each other. Yeah, so the biosphere, they're running that as a test project, I would say. In Ireland at the minute, the only one I know of. There's one in. Is it I heard her talking. She's Waterford. No. There's a good one in Waterford. There's one in starting up, and it's fairly new now. I think they're just getting going. There's a very active one in the southeast. I was at a thing of theirs over the summer, and it was superb. So it's like the local. Was it organic farmers or? It's anyone who wants to work with anybody in the area. It's you go there to meet other people. Community where all the food is going to the local restaurants, shops, etc. To try and it sounds good. Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, no, it's brilliant. And it's funny. I feel in this country we're a long way behind. I know you've got the farmers market in Cork that's been there for years, the English market, and you've got Ballymaloe been promoting this for decades. But you go to England and you're driving down a farm lane and the next thing there's a farm shop there. And you go to France, it's even more prevalent, or across Germany. We just haven't embraced that whole thing as much as what they have. There is some people doing it. It's not that common. I know two lads in Sligo. Yeah. They'd be about my age. They have, I can't remember the name. Kilnary or something, but it is there, but it's I feel a long way behind other parts of Europe. Yeah, there's nowhere here that I'm aware of. I know there's organic growers, but not, maybe there's more, but not that I'm aware of. Yeah. Funny, that's one of the things I really enjoy, is being connected to the people who buy the produce. I find it very rewarding as a farmer, getting feedback straight away. So dealing direct with your consumer is, it's a quick feedback loop. Human touch too. Yeah, there's that as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it is the human touch. Yeah, it's nice. It's that you're more connected then. Yeah. You're not going through the other channels. You know what I mean? No, I get that. But that's an essential part too. We do use that in modern life. Yeah, but I think when we're more connected, we generally are happier people. Yeah. Base Ireland as well. That's the community that you're part of. Is it a collective, a group? No, there's about 130 of us involved, and they come and go. We're farmers, all types of farming, and looking to do better. So it stands for biology, agriculture, soil and the environment. And there's a group in England that's about 12 years old. We're about 10 years old. And then it started in France, in Brittany. It used to be Brittany Agriculture, Soil and the Environment. And it's farmers educating farmers and bringing on ideas of what. We have a WhatsApp group, and it can be very, very active, and it can cover, we have a lot of dairy farmers, and it can cover a very wide variety of topics. And there's no such thing as a stupid question. You put up something and you'll get multiple answers, most of which will be, in the right direction. It's an invaluable resource. I've leaned heavily on it. So anyone can join? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, as long as you're a farmer and you're doing what you do and you're interested in the environment and you want to improve your soil health, we're very focused on that. We meet, we've a number of meetings over the year, and then we do a good few Zooms where we try and get in people to talk about a variety of different topics, from dairying through to tillage. And we then have an event coming up in conjunction. We used to have Soil Dependence Day, and we're now in conjunction with Farming for Nature in the middle of June, I think.
Good stuff. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they get you?
Me personally?
Yeah, I mean, are you...
Oh, don't have no presence on...
No, so Base Ireland though.
Yeah, but through Base Ireland,
yeah. That's cool. So that's where they can reach out if you're happy to share.
Yeah,
just in case anyone...
But that's the whole thing, is it is about sharing, and it's mad. In the group, you'll find kindred spirits that I have found, and I've got lifelong friends out of it. I've been about 5 years with them, and I've learned I have a huge debt of gratitude to them. It's helped me on my way hugely. Really enjoyed it. Really got a lot of info out of it, and you meet a load of people that are pushing the boundaries, trying to find new ways to solve problems or to get around things and to cope. So it's there's none of us are nuts, but there's a few of us pushing out the boat a bit on a few things.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Good stuff. Well, look, Paul, thank you so much for coming today. I really do appreciate it. And I wish you all the best in the future. I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Ryan, thanks a million for having me.
Thank you.
Cheers.